what were the sort of like triggers that actually made you decide, okay, I'm gonna go ahead with this film, and what actually inspired and motivated you to actually, okay, let's get the green light and let's make it. Yeah.
Let's push with this kind of film. Basically 7 years ago, before the storm, I actually had a script in mind already. I felt it was complete, but I also felt it was incomplete.
Right.
And I didn't know what was missing. So I had a co-writer involved in it, and we felt the same thing. It's like, what is missing? And even me, I didn't know. So it took me a while, like months, to actually, I wasn't figuring it out. And then the storm happened.
Right.
I was based in Manila because mainly I work as an editor. That's my day job. I have to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And what happened was, you see the news. The last thing I was in contact with my family was hours before the storm hit the Tacloban, and then no more. And then you see in the news everyone dead, like ravage all around,
Right,
destruction. And I went there.
Yeah.
Luckily, I boarded this military plane. My boss had a connection with this. And in the military plane, it was just me alone, like
Right.
one piece of human being inside this
Yeah.
crates and all this shit.
Right.
I was, in a way, I was already programming myself, like minutes before we landed.
Mhm.
I programmed myself that everyone in my family were already dead,
Oh wow. Okay.
and it's very sad. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like I didn't want to expect much, mainly
Right.
because this is what I've been seeing, and I have no other things that I know of, like what's gonna happen. So
Mhm.
my only intention was actually, if I find them, if ever, from all these destruction, was at least to give them a proper burial, something like
Right.
this.
Absolutely.
But anyway, actually found them,
Nice.
everyone alive.
Amazing.
But no, but it was really, how to say. So I brought them back to Manila. In between, there are lots of things that really happened. Some absurd stuff and whatnot, like violent things. Went back to Manila. Went back to work the next day. And then a few months back, I could remember this specific time where I just went home, and then I started crying.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels dramatic, but I didn't know, like, why was I crying? And then I realized maybe it's like the post trauma that I had. Like, I
Yeah.
was just keeping it to myself the whole time.
Right.
I
Right.
was trying to be, like, in a way, strong for
your
what
family.
was really happening. And then I talked to a few friends, and maybe they said, you don't need, like, to seek, like, medical help or whatsoever. Maybe you just need to, like, say it to people, like, how you feel. Because I'm this kind of person that, like, I keep it to myself
Right.
more than
Right.
anything. So I started talking about it to people, and it felt really, how to say, therapeutic, to say the
Mhm.
least.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then I realized, like, maybe what was missing in the screenplay that I was writing, because it was also about the mother and the son, was me.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then what best way to do it is, like, maybe put my experience there. So
Yes. Absolutely.
I quite then decided to, like, maybe make a film, revise it in such a way where I am there,
Mhm.
loosely based on my experience, not just my experience, but also the people that I talked to during the time when I was trying to do this and that,
Mhm.
and now it's here. So I'm
Nice.
quite happy with it. So
So when you're talking about sort of like the developments, and we were talking about how this film is more relaying a universal message,
Yeah.
but you're also trying to portray the Filipino culture in a very cinematic sort of way. And I mean, as being a Filipino myself, it's kind of awesome in a sense that you're showing the very strict religious side of Filipinos in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Can you comment on that a little bit?
Well, as I've mentioned, always in other interviews, actually, like, there's this fear of me because the film is very culture specific. Like, not everyone has experienced the storm, not everyone has this kind of landscape, so it's very different. But I think, like, the one that maybe connects to the film is like elements of, like, let's say, religion.
Mhm.
I'm not saying just it's Catholic or whatsoever, religion in general, or like maybe, relationships with family.
Yeah.
With religion, I feel I had the need to critic in a way where how it plays in terms of tragedy. I do feel during the time, and I mainly experienced this, everything was ravaged. Money was not a currency. Everything was gunning out for survival to the point of you're being violent already, and you do things that you were not supposed to do, but you have to do. And I feel with religion, it's something that people hold on to because it's something that they believe in a sense where at least there's something that's there. It's not physically present, but it's something that's there. But sometimes, religion can actually make you cray-cray. No, in a sense, how does it work? Like, you pray, and then what? But also you pray, and then it makes you feel good. Because in a way, regardless of who the gods are, like there's always a higher being. And I think more than anything, somebody that actually hears you, or you just let it out, then you feel better. But in a sense, with this one, it's placed in a tragic sense, where religion becomes something talked about, and how people actually sees it in a different sense. So yeah, I don't come into a conclusion where religion is bad or good. It's, for me, even up until now, it's always a question. So there's always questions. Like when I finish the film, I still have questions with me. Like how does religion portray in a society, not just in a Filipino context, but in general. Yeah. I'm always learning.
Yes, absolutely. So what struck me in this film, it kind of steers away from like classic Filipino cinema, where the dialogue takes the main focus between actors and their characters, of course. But with this film, you kind of like took a chance of like you stepped back a little bit and then made it more of like a cinematic journey in this film. Can you tell us why you did that?
I would like to say, and this is in general, not just Filipinos, and this may also be subjective. So, in a way, I feel like this is the sense where I think in a perspective where people see Filipino films, at least from outside Philippines, the films that they always see are much of the same. I'm not saying it's bad.
No.
But I do feel films in general, not just Filipino films, can be presented in a different light. It feels like my film is different in terms of it being a Filipino film, but not presented in a Filipino way. But I feel mainly because nobody's doing it.
Right.
I feel that way. So I always strive hard, at least, to present stories in a sense where you feel it's absurd or mundane, but seriously, it was really based on something that happened. Like specific scenes in my film that maybe a lot would feel absurd or like what the hell is this? Something like this. It actually happened. It's just that it's not presented because it's always the cliches. And I mean, cliches always works. It's just that these ones that I present may not be cliche and may not work for everyone. But I strive hard and like I made a point that to use this kind of like the language of cinema.
So how does it feel to be here at TIFF and especially this year, especially after a pandemic, and especially what's going on in life, and especially bringing this film about a disaster and a crisis. So how does that feel for you?
Actually, it feels weird, to say the least. I'm quite lucky, actually, one of the lucky productions, at least in the Philippines, to actually finish the film pre-pandemic. Actually finished it finished shooting February 2020, when just like a month before the pandemic struck. So I mean, you have all these challenges of where to finally show the film, do the post-production whatsoever. And it's weird to, I mean, I'm really happy that because it premiered in Locarno a few weeks back, and now it's having its North American premiere at TIFF. I'm actually really happy, but at the same time, I'm not fully there, mainly because I know what's really happening. We're in a pandemic. The film actually speaks about the generation and what, in a sense, how how the response, at least locally, of the government and the Philippines as it is. A lot of elements in the film were actually thought about during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, like, maybe you've noticed, like, the announcements from the PA.
Yeah.
There's a storm, there's no storm, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah, like this. So, I mean, going back, I am happy, yes. And I think the best thing to come out of this being playing the film here, I mean, there's like a big competition of films. There was a year where I think the submissions are twice. We're in a hard time right now, but seeing the film in a cinema with people watching it with you feels really great.
Yes.
I have, how to say, like when I was in Locarno when it premiered, I've watched the film like 50 times already.
Yeah.
But when I watch it in a cinema,
It's different.
it's different. It's
Yeah.
like, maybe I'm not sure if it's a good film or a bad film, but when I watch it, it looks like a film.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you did something okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, and
Thank you very much.
Thank you for doing this for FERNTV. And again, best of luck here at Toronto International Film Festival. And thank you once again.
Thank you.